It's not me. It's you. Nobody ever says that, but I mean, sometimes that is the truth. It's not you, it's me. It's me, it's not you. Anyway, you get the point. Put on a pot of coffee. This is actually going to take some time. I got a lot to talk about. One, don't I? But the long and short of it, out with the old. This is the Pixel 2 XL, and in with the new. This is the iPhone 12. I actually skipped a lot of phones, I guess, in between, but I went straight from the 2 XL to the iPhone 12. But I had been on iPhone for about 10 years. Quick history here, that might take forever. iPhone 3S, iPhone 4S, iPhone 6, and then all of a sudden, boom, 2 XL for about 18 months. Maybe 20 months, doesn't matter. But now, back to iPhone. And there are reasons, and that's why I'm here, to tell you why I switched. Everyone has their own experience, but this is just me. If you're only staying for the beginning, I understand, so I want to get the biggest reason in the world out of the way. It's the ecosystem. It's just basically being on a Pixel phone means you're not in the Apple ecosystem. So if you use the Apple computers or MacBooks or things like that or tablets, you really you kind of want to be on an iPhone for your smartphone, just because of the photo transferring, the notes, little things like that, the stocks loading, the music is a big thing. There's just so many reasons why it's kind of better. It's a handoff. It's just the trading information. It just works better. It doesn't. I'm not saying it doesn't work on this. There are ways around it, but it's just a pain. I mean, if I type something on my notepad, the office, it's instantly on my phone, and that's just a lot of convenience. And when you lose that, after a while, it becomes very frustrating. So that was a big thing, and one of the main reasons why I switched back. So a lot of my reasoning has to do with software, not even hardware, but software. So I'll kind of cover a bunch of nitpicky little things that just started to add up over time. In general, I kind of found that Google was slipping with the Android system. They were just making more mistakes. They weren't really paying close enough attention. I don't know what they're doing. Oh, they're working on great camera algorithms. That's good. Actually, I'm not being facetious here. I mean it. They do a great job with their camera software. But other things started slipping. Little things. They changed the screenshot recently. So now you have to kind of like go out of your app and then take a screenshot there, which has some flexibility. But I just liked anything on the screen, you could kind of squeeze and take the screenshot. It was just a small thing, but kind of sucks they changed it. So now you really can't get all the screenshots you want. The other little thing they messed up is like I tend to have my font size a little bigger because vision. So the screenshot now says screens hot. So screens on one line and hot on the next line. It's just like little oversights. Like no one bothered to check it, or there was like no testing involved. I'm like, come on, guys. Not everyone uses the standard size font. So things like that. And maybe even happens to standard size font. I don't think it does, but it could. An annoying thing was email. I have my Google Gmail account. I have my other accounts, but it seems like it always went back to my Gmail account. There might be a way to fix it, but it seems like for a while it would work, and then all of a sudden, every time I check my mail, it would be in the wrong account. Even though I would like it to be in the last account that I had checked, like all accounts, and it wouldn't. It would be in the Gmail account and things like that. Like, what happened? Annoying. Icons on the Google and Android system are not worse, but not better than the Apple. I mean, I think in general these days, most icons just plain suck, and we've kind of got a very poor symbolic representation system. Sometimes they're so bad you just have no idea. The drive, it's like a triangle. Like, how do I know that's a drive? How do I know anything? So from a distance, it's hard to tell. If you're just quickly going to glance down, it's hard to tell. The colors they always use the same 4 colors. I mean, it's like kind of universal, but it's also very hard. It's like the drive or something else. Documents are like a square rectangle. It's like, they're killing me. So that sucks. But then again, Apple's not much better. So you're not really gaining in there, but they didn't have an advantage there either. I will move to something that's actually positive. Everything doesn't have to be negative, but the phone actually works. Like, I had an old car that once had like 220,000 miles on it, and it still ran just fine. I hated to get rid of it, but it was failing smog, so not everything ages out, and I thought it's kind of silly to get a new phone when you don't really have to. And if it weren't for all these other problems, the speed is great. It's like brand new. The only thing that's totally affected right now is speech recognition. All of a sudden, it either doesn't work or it's extremely slow. That part, oddly, just started to almost fail. It's like it doesn't. It used to be like flawless, and now it's not. It did a few weeks ago. The phone actually did slow down a crawl. I mean, it was extremely bad. You couldn't even scroll. But one of the apps I think was just going crazy. It was like the Garmin running app, and I realized I don't even have to have that app running at all. So I got rid of that, and once I did, the phone was better. So App took over, which Google should prevent things like that from happening, but whatever. It's also the app's fault too. Garmin's fault. I would say the second biggest reason for switching is, well, I expect the phone to do like 3 things, like do phone calls, of course, it's smartphone, even though I don't really use it for that much often. To be a camera second, these days we expect our phone to be good cameras, and it is a good camera. Thirdly, a good music player, and that's where Google has just fallen apart. I mean, Google Play was awful from the beginning, so I guess I shouldn't say it's gotten worse. It was never good, and it was never improved upon. You couldn't filter by, like, there was no filtering or no organizing your music, and it's supposed to import it, and it kind of did, but then the software stopped working well. It's been a mess. It's still a mess. They're constantly trying to promote the paid thing, which I don't want. I don't want a paid thing. I got my music already paid for once. It was just bad, and then they deprecated that and said, now you got to use YouTube Music. I'm like, oh, great. Is it any better? Nope. Just as bad. It's just a big of a mess. So, and then it's even worse. They're really trying to, like, hey, you want to pay for it? Want to pay for it? Want to pay for it? It's like, no, I don't want to use it at all. It's just really bad. So the music player was a huge reason where I liked my iTunes, even though Apple's got problems now too, but not as many. Yeah, the music could be better on Apple, but it definitely sucks on Pixel. And I don't see that ever getting better. Yes, you can use third-party apps, and some are great, but I don't know which one to use. I'd have to go out and research. I also would have to pay for something that should be on the phone for free, so a matter of principle is a big thing. I just think that sucked, that they dropped the ball like that. It was really frustrating. So that was probably the second biggest reason I switched back. Ecosystem first. As I said, the photos, I mean, the camera, especially for its time, does a fantastic job. I've gotten some great pictures of it. I'm almost always happy. The night shot works great. It doesn't have the astronomy shot, which they could, because that's mainly software, but they don't. That's for newer phones. I understand that. You got to have reasons to upgrade. But overall, it's just taken some fantastic photos since I've had it, so I really like that. However, the photo management is also really poor. Again, ecosystem problems, but you have to kind of go through the software. Oh, I got a message. You have to kind of go through the software and then upload it to a website, to the Google Photo site, and then download it again. And even when you try to upload it straight from there, you go to the Google Pixel. It's just, there's a lot of things. And then it tries to say, upgrade, pay us more money. It's like, So that was the thing. So the photos itself are great, but the management of photos, not so much. Huge thing, I should have had it higher up my list, because who's even watching now, but the bubble system. And this is just odd. I never even thought that it wouldn't have a bubble system. But when I first got the phone, back in 2019, March I think it was, so it's already been out a while, I switched over and I was looking at my stuff and I realized, hey, where are my bubbles? You know, those little like bubbles that occur in the corner of your icons, and it has a number in it that shows you, okay, you got 10 messages, 20 messages, whatever. I've seen people with like thousands, but it's gone. It was like, and I talked to a friend that had convinced me to get the Pixel. I said, hey, where's the bubble? How do you get the bubbles on? What bubbles? You know, the bubbles. There's no bubbles. It's just like, it has a bubble, like if there's something present in there. Most of the time, I don't think that works that well. So that was like, there's no bubble system. I mean, I know I don't want to copy someone else's phone, but it's like, that's something everyone's Facebook and just LinkedIn, everyone has the bubble system with the numbers. And to not do it for the sake of not copying, it's like, oh man. And other people said, oh, it just doesn't matter that much. Well, it matters to me. So, no messages. So I basically got a third-party app, had to pay $5 for it, and it did all right, but since it wasn't really integrated into the OS, it wasn't perfect, and it would often have a bubble staying where it shouldn't have, or not having a bubble where it should have, so it was a mess, and I just kind of missed that. I thought, that's just another, I don't know, it's just, I covered most of the hardware. The other thing that was kind of missing was the no mute button. And I tell you, sometimes it really, you want to be able to, like you're in the theater or something like that, you just want to be able to turn it off, but to have to kind of hit buttons and do all this stuff, and it's like, nah, just having a mute switch would have been so much nicer. They don't want to copy. Apple doesn't want to copy. And I respect that. It's other people's, but some things it's just like, you know, it's like Frisbee and Kleenex. At some point it just becomes, everyone owns it. You don't get the name anymore. I do like the fingerprint, you know, on the back. Pick it up and hit your finger, and it first works so well. It almost always works. There's a new software feature where if you're at home all the time, you can just turn the password completely off, because it knows you're in your own little network, and it feels like and you have a choice. You don't have to have that on, but that was kind of cool. And then other times it does require it. The fingerprint was good. I didn't want to go to the Face ID, but once I went to the Face ID, I realized this isn't so bad at all. I was hesitant. I was like, no, it's not going to work very well. And it actually does work. So I do get pleasantly surprised at times. It's also I'm comparing the Pixel 2 XL, which wasn't going to be an option. They're kind of retiring the phone. They're not going to do security updates for much longer, so I didn't really choice. But I do like that it was a kind of a nice light phone. It was too big, without having that scroll down where you can kind of get the screen to move down. That sucked, because if you really do want to use the phone one hand, sometimes you can't, because you can't reach the top, and it's like, if they had something like that, would have been cool. So it's 2XL, I kind of knew. I mean, XL, when I was buying it, it's going to be pretty big, but if they had, again, copied something like that or had a solution for it, it would have been cool. Maybe they do, and I just don't even know about it, but I don't know. That would have been nice, but it is light, and it does feel pretty good, just too big. I mean, things to keep in mind that my hands aren't small, and they're not massive, but, it feels nice, but it's too big. I do like and appreciate the always on. I think it's kind of cool, although it can be a distraction, but it is like nice to always be able to look down at your phone, see the time, to see if you've got text or whatever, the weather, alarms. I'm going to miss that. It was a cool thing, but it didn't trump having all the other features. And the other thing was the music recognition. I like that. I want to miss that, but what can you do? I'm sure there's ways around it. I don't know. And I'll probably miss the photo, night shot and things like that, the really good photo the software routines. That's it. That's long. I had a lot of gripes, but there were a lot of reasons to leave the Pixel and return to Apple. And the reason I have that's a whole different story. There's a hole in my case, but whole different story. But it's a pretty nice phone. I could sell it for maybe $100 if I wanted to, and that would be fine, but I think I'm going to keep it for a while. Keep it just as a backup, maybe just around the house. However, henceforth, I am back to Apple and under their domain. Although I do criticize a lot of things they do, they're pretty good. It's just they could be better. That's how I sum up Apple. Pretty darn good. Could be better. But for me, having a MacBook going to Apple, the ecosystem is pretty much the biggest thing, and it was something I guess I couldn't live without. So, comment if you want. Subscribe if you want. Do whatever you want. Free country, man. Enjoy. Have a beer. I am.